So hello everyone, once again from the Kingdom of Cambodia, and today we are talking about CrossFit. Now, I was wondering whether I should make this video because my fitness related videos don't really seem to do that well. I've just convinced myself that none of my subscribers care about fitness related content, but I think this is really interesting because I'm not really going to be talking about fitness today. I'm going to be talking about conservative politics and CrossFit, because those of you who might use Twitter probably saw this tweet of Marjorie Greene going viral, of her doing like these weird butterfly type pull-ups that have become synonymous with CrossFit. And I just wanted to talk about like her involvement in CrossFit and why it does appeal to more conservative people. Now, in the last about 2.5 years, there has been a movement to kind of reform CrossFit at the top level. And some of you might even like do CrossFit. Maybe you compete in like the CrossFit championships, or maybe you just go to a gym that has the CrossFit branding. And I've been doing a lot of research on CrossFit for this video. I'm not going to be like sharing a lot of the videos I've watched, but what a lot of people say is that the problem with CrossFit is, one, you become an affiliate, meaning you run the CrossFit gym yourself and there's not really much oversight from the management. That means basically the standards of doing these CrossFit exercise are really dictated by the person who's become an affiliate, and lots of them aren't very well trained in fitness or doing certain like movements with weights. And that's another problem, in that CrossFit exercises often do loads of different movements with loads of different equipment. And even if you are like a personal trainer who becomes a CrossFit affiliate, the problem being is you might not be an expert in various ways to do loads of different exercises, and that's why it leads to so many injuries, coupled together with these exercises being done in massive groups with a really like toxic philosophy about pushing yourself, and then mix it in with the conservative politics that were really in CrossFit from the get-go, and you have a bit of a toxic combination. And of course, like that butterfly like pull-ups Marjorie Greene was doing, a lot of these exercises don't really seem to have much benefit. Rather than doing like more conventional exercises like actually doing pull-ups and chin-ups is better for you than whatever this is, because you're just using your momentum to swing on this bar rather than focusing on using your strength. So we are going to talk about some people who are into CrossFit who aren't like absolutely crazy as well. So if you're someone who maybe subscribes to me or has left-wing politics and you're going to be like, well, you're all wrong about CrossFit, I am going to try and treat the issue with some sort of nuance, but I do believe fundamentally how they practice these like group exercises is often really, really dangerous, and you're going to see in some video evidence when I talk about it a bit later. But before we go any further, please like the video, and in the comments, I'm curious, have you ever done CrossFit exercises? Have you gone to a CrossFit gym? Are you really into CrossFit? I'd be really curious if there's anyone with like similar politics to me who can both tell me what it's like and also give an insight into the politics of it in your experience. Also, follow me on social media at the Kavernacle on Twitter, also on Instagram. Instagram is where I'm posting all about my travels around Southeast Asia. It's all archived on the highlight reels on my profile page. And if you care about that even more, I've uploaded a couple exclusive travel videos on my Patreon page. I've recorded the one about me and my girlfriend's time in Thailand. That should be going up soon. And other benefits include getting access to the Discord server and also getting access to my Nintendo Switch friend code. So if you care about any of that, check out the Patreon page, and also check out my subreddit and check out my second channel down in the description. So I just want to talk about myself in regards to exercise and in regards to what I'm seeing with like CrossFit fail videos. Now, you guys might have seen so many of these fail videos. They are pretty funny, but of course they are cringe-inducing because they look so painful. Like, we've all seen the videos of people flying off like chin-up bars because they're doing the same exercise Marjorie Greene was doing. We've all seen the videos of like more slender people handling like massive weights and then falling over it with the weight like crushing parts of them because they're pushing themselves way too hard. And it's because of this more like competitive environment in like CrossFit communities, and all about like pushing yourself to the limit. And also like one of the mascots of CrossFit was like this clown being sick, because it was a thing in CrossFit that you push yourself so hard that you make yourself sick. And people might think, well, that's a good sign of doing a lot of exercise. But most people who are into exercise who don't do CrossFit will say, you shouldn't be getting sick doing exercise. So because CrossFit is like cardio intensive in terms of like how many reps they're doing with these weights on top of like these other exercises, as someone who has done hardcore like cardio in my life before. So for example, I used to play like semi-pro football for a bit when I was like 23, and we did pre-season. And any of you who've done pre-season at like basically any sports team, and you can tell people how absolutely brutal that is. Like, I have never done so much cardio in my life. Our warm-up would be a 4K run where you're incentivized not to finish last because you'd get a further punishment. That was the warm-up before a 2-hour training session, like doing these sprint exercises, doing these big long distance, like running things, barely even playing football. But the one thing I'll say, although I was often exhausted, first time in my life, like I actually tried having an ice bath and stuff like that, I never felt sick. I never felt sick because, of course, I didn't eat loads because I knew what was coming. And I didn't feel sick as well because, as brutal as this exercise was, in a group environment where people could be judging you for slacking and stuff, the coaches, of course, allowed for like some rest breaks, some recovery breaks. They didn't push you to such an insane degree where you'd puke. And of course, we weren't using weights in a really irresponsible manner as well. So every day I'd go home exhausted. I never felt like I was going to be sick on the field because it was properly managed by people who actually knew what they were doing. So they would like push you to the limit in terms of cardio, but they wouldn't be irresponsible about it where people would be passing out or having like really bad health problems, because that's another thing. I forgot what it's called. It's basically a condition where you can have like organ failure from your muscles basically like collapsing or something. And they literally make it a meme as like a goal. I've seen a sign in old CrossFits where it has people who've suffered this condition. Because I only watch this on YouTube, I'll put the word up on screen of what this is. But it seems absolutely insane, this culture, that they glorify puking or actually getting seriously medically ill from doing CrossFit. And on that note, let's get into like what CrossFit really is, because if you're from the UK, you might not even be aware of it. You're like, what the hell is this weird thing? Why are these people doing such irresponsible exercises? So first, I just want to talk about like how it works. And then we're going to get into Marjorie Taylor Greene and CrossFit. And then we're going to talk about like the really weird politics of CrossFit and its founder, who actually sold the company after, of course, tweeting and saying a lot of insensitive stuff about George Floyd. If we go on the CrossFit website, it says experience the magic of CrossFit, and you have all these people doing like some little huddle in the picture. CrossFit welcomes and unites people of all ages, abilities, and goals around a methodology that is accessible and effective for all. We train, persevere, and progress together. We build strong local communities that drive unparalleled progress and a deep sense of belonging. For the millions out there who've experienced the transformative power of our methodology and the unwavering support of our community, CrossFit is a match struck in the dark. And for the millions more who have yet to experience the magic of CrossFit, we invite you to join us. The CrossFit program drives unparalleled results. This means CrossFit actually makes people fit, and we make them fitter faster and more safely than any other program out there. Highly doubt that. Our results are universal, predictable, and repeatable. Our methodology works for everyone, can be scaled for anyone, and continues to work long term. It's not magic, it's just what happens when you put in the work. Results follow, and once you get a taste, you want more of it. It's how we revolutionize an industry and change millions of lives. CrossFit workouts are challenging but worth the effort, and your effort is measurable, and you're going to share your results with visible scores on the whiteboard. This fosters accountability and courage, and because CrossFit workouts can be scaled for anyone, everyone knows the challenge you face, and you're respected and welcome for your effort no matter who you are or where you land on the whiteboard. These are key ingredients that build genuine camaraderie. So obviously massively playing up the community angle, and that's why so many people for like over 10 years now have labeled things like CrossFit an actual cult. Because just like with any like community-based like sport or exercise, it can become a lot of people's personalities. It can be where you make all your friends and have like all your social interaction through this one community. There's of course nothing wrong with that, but when it's like fostered by this corporation rather than something more natural like a sports team, for example, that's when you get these like weirdo culty vibes. And we're going to talk about like the ideology that drives this a bit later to see why like maybe this is more culty than like other sorts of communities at gyms and things like that. But one thing I want to talk about is the affiliate program of CrossFit. Now, they must have changed this because in videos I was watching today, apparently you could become a CrossFit affiliate by doing like a 2-day training program and paying the fee. We're going to talk about this quick. So how to affiliate, and it has the application process on their website. In the affiliation process is to fill out an application and write an essay. That sounds weird. The essay should contain information about your background, what CrossFit affiliation means to you and why you want it, and what you want to achieve. It doesn't have to be long or formal, but it should be from the heart. The other informal step is to educate yourself and become a part of the community. This can happen in many ways. Do the workouts and post your results, do the WOD comments, read the CrossFit journal, and come to a seminar and make friends with and visit other affiliates. So basically the requirements are, we require an applicant to be at least a level 1 certificate holder before applying for affiliation. We offer level 1 certificate courses throughout the year in many locations. A CrossFit level 3 or 4 certification also meets this requirement. So it seems like they changed it, because I saw a picture of his page and it seemed like it was far easier to get this. And then you just need proof of insurance. And then as of 2011, affiliation costs $3,000 annually. Affiliation allows you to legally use the CrossFit trademark and offer CrossFit training at one physical location. Your gym can easily participate in a CrossFit event such as the Open, which is like their competitive event. We'll help you market your gym by placing it on our affiliate finder map and affiliate list, where thousands of people go to find a legitimate CrossFit box in their area. As an affiliate owner, you also get priority access to CrossFit Games tickets, entry into the affiliate owner lounge at the games, and prioritized support from our legal team. Your affiliate will also be considered for features on social media pages if you send us photos. So this kind of gives me like MLM vibes a bit, just because like you have to pay them to get the branding. But of course, because it's such a popular branding, maybe paying $3,000 a year to have the CrossFit branding and get all these perks is actually worth it to people, because this thing has been so popular. So I wouldn't say it is like a flat out scam, but I do get really creepy vibes all about like the community, friendships, seminars. It feels like a very, very like American thing. And I feel you can see how it does maybe appeal to some weird people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. But on that note, I want to talk about the tweet a bit more and talk about like her relationship with CrossFit. So of course the tweet was like pretty hilarious. Everyone was like dunking on it, being like, this is so weird. But then she seemed to get quite offended, so she posted a follow-up. So I just saw all the workout critics, clown emoji, on my butterfly pull-ups. Butterfly pull-ups are done in CrossFit workouts and should not be done unless you have good shoulder mobility and can complete at least 5 strict pull-ups without fatigue. I also train strict pull-ups, posting a video of her doing pull-ups. And then she posts one of her like doing weights as well. And for my friend Mark Lobliner, who did an excellent job explaining butterfly pull-ups, CrossFit, and overall his usual smackdowns to the critics today, I'm doing lots of lifting too. But also, like Marjorie Taylor Greene has posted these CrossFit videos before. It's actually kind of been a part of her identity since she's entered politics. And now we're just going to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene's like attraction to this and how she's used it even as part of her like campaigns and stuff, before we just talk about like the really strange politics of CrossFit in general. Now, you guys obviously know who Marjorie Taylor Greene is. Probably like the most crazy member of Congress, like maybe ever, because I've never seen someone who's both so stupid, but seemingly believes every like racist and anti-Semitic conspiracy theory out there and has no problem saying them as well. I really don't think there's too much difference between her and Alex Jones in this regard. Although you can maybe argue part of Alex Jones's craziness, part of like a massive grift to become insanely wealthy, where it seems like she's someone who watches Alex Jones and believes everything Alex Jones says is the truth. So let's get into this article from BuzzFeed 2 years ago at this point. So CrossFit is finally fed up with Marjorie Taylor Greene. CrossFit for the first time disavowed Marjorie Taylor Greene after BuzzFeed News asked in February about her history of calling for violence against political enemies, attempts to undermine the presidential election, and amplification of other dangerous and deceptive nonsense. CrossFit supports respectful, fact-based political dialogue to address our common challenges, and we strongly oppose the loathsome and dangerous lies attributed to Mrs. Greene, Andrew Weinstein, a CrossFit spokesperson, told BuzzFeed in 2021. It started with Greene using her time as an affiliate gym owner to build her credibility as a small business owner. Then she asked for campaign donations and invited at least one gym member to donor events when she launched her bid for Congress. Now in Washington, she points to her time as an athlete and CrossFit affiliate owner to push her political agenda. So this is the background on Greene and CrossFit. So Marjorie Taylor Greene's love for CrossFit began in 2007 when a friend suggested they try it together. She asked me, do you want to do this crazy underground cult fitness thing called CrossFit? So apparently they even say it's a cult. And I was like, okay. Greene told Atlanta Business Radio Show back in 2015, I fell in love. It was the hardest thing I ever did and the greatest thing I ever did. For years, she did the WOD, which are occasionally dedicated to fallen military or police officers. We'll talk about that in a sec. At home by herself before joining a gym in 2011 and quickly becoming a certified level 1 instructor. And back then, it really didn't take much training. She coached at several CrossFit gyms before meeting Travis Meyer, a CrossFit Games athlete and gym manager. And the pair opened up their own affiliate gym, CrossFit Passion, a 6,000 square foot warehouse in Georgia in mid-2013. In 2015, Greene ranked 47 in the US Masters Women CrossFit Games. They upgraded to an 11,000 square foot gym space with 135 members. 2 gym attendees, one whom Greene coached at CrossFit Passion, said that Greene had always been the type of conservative who supported mainstream ideals like gun rights. They said she never talked openly about politics during her workouts. She left the business a few years later, and the 2 gym attendees said that's when she became more outspoken about far-right politics. It's also when she began posting concerning things on social media pages that gained her a massive following. Meyer, who still owns the gym, did not respond to interview requests. 2 people who BuzzFeed News spoke to said he told them that he does not want to speak to the media and does not want his gym associated with politics. She does use CrossFit as a prop and she tries to use CrossFit Rome in that way, said Andy Calvert, a 29-year-old photographer from Rome who works out at the same CrossFit gym as Greene. But I can't say I don't think a lot of people at our gym would stand up for her or take up for her. Before her election, she usually turned up for the 6:30 a.m. or 8:30 a.m. classes and worked out with Calvert and made polite conversation but never discussed politics. I don't really like her, but she's impressive, Calvert said of Greene, explaining that she lifts more and goes harder than most. She is an anomaly at our gym. So beyond the pretty funny fail videos, you're probably wondering at this point, why am I even saying that Marjorie Taylor Greene is specifically attracted to CrossFit? Yeah, it looks stupid. She is really stupid herself. But why is she attracted specifically? Because in some of the stuff I was reading they're saying like they didn't talk about politics when she was an instructor at her own gym, never mentioned politics apart from like more generic conservative things, but never said anything like she's saying now. But I think that's still telling that even the people who were taught by her knew she was like this mainstream conservative, because CrossFit originally was pretty conservative. And there's something I want to talk about, which was mentioned in that article, called hero workouts. And these are really weird. And as time has gone on, people kind of forget about the heroes these workouts are based on. But it's also like extremely weird. So hero workouts. We have previously discussed some CrossFit benchmark workouts and their value in helping us challenge ourselves and measure our progress. There is another category of name workout that comes up every so often in our programming, the hero workout. These workouts are named after military members, police officers, and firefighters who have fallen in the line of duty. From CrossFit's early days, it has had close ties with the military, police, and firefighters. We have many members who serve in the military, police, and emergency service. Hero workouts are firstly memorials, which are intended to be performed in honor of a specific hero. They are also an opportunity for us to show our respect and support for those who serve and put their lives on the line of our safety. So here are some examples of these workouts. This is like really, really strange, and you can see why people have always called CrossFit a cult. So Murph is a 1 mile run, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 squats, and another 1 mile run. That seems really, really hard. To be performed with a 20-pound weight vest. I know I'd be dead doing that. So from CrossFit.com, in memory of Navy Lieutenant Michael Murphy, 29, of New York, who was killed in Afghanistan in 2005. The workout was one of Mike's favorites, and he named it body armor. From here on, it will be referred to as Murph, in honor of the focused warrior and great American who wanted nothing more in life than to serve his great country and beautiful people who make it what it is. So I know to some people that might seem fairly harmless, but it does feel very weird, like multiple reasons. Like to left-wing people like myself, it's like, well, you're glorifying a soldier who went to like one of the poorest countries on earth to basically occupy that country and literally probably in some cases kill some of the poorest people on earth, like Afghan peasants, some of them like teenagers and stuff, doesn't really strike me as something that heroic. Now with this guy specifically, I think he won a medal for like protecting his squad from like incoming fire, and that's how he died and stuff. So that's why people see him as a hero. But then even if we accept that like this guy is heroic, he's a hero, it also feels weird because it's like you're talking about like a geopolitical event that lots of Americans and British people are actually quite mad about. Because after America pulled out in 2021, then people were like, what was the point in all this? The thing that they overthrew at the start then took over straight away. So all of these soldiers have just died for nothing, essentially. And in this, it's like, oh, he was all about like protecting America and stuff like that. But sadly, even if that was his intention, that's not what he did because of what America is and what America did. So it's essentially like hero worshipping people in the military, but also like sanitizing what this war actually was. You have other ones like Nuts about a guy who died in Afghanistan as well. Have another one called Glenn about a guy who died in Benghazi. This one is just the worst. Randy, 75 power snatches. In honor of Randy Simmons, 51, a 27-year LAPD veteran and SWAT team member who was killed in 2008 in the line of duty. I mean, veteran communities like honoring a fallen comrade, I don't think is as controversial. A gym honoring that guy, yeah, very weird. A gym honoring someone who served in the LAPD for 27 years, right? Knowing everything that LAPD does, especially to marginalized communities and stuff, like one of the worst police forces, literally infamous, like globally for being absolutely terrible. And now I have to go to a gym where I'm doing a workout, honoring someone who not only was an LAPD cop for 27 years, he was also literally in a SWAT team as well. Like that is the gym I'm going to, a gym that reveres LAPD officers and people who work in SWAT teams. I mean, can you really think of anything more American than that? Like, I understand like the military stuff to an extent because of like the brainwashing and the hero worship of the military. And I guess at the end of the day, if America got invaded, the military would actually be defending America. So they do serve some sort of purpose. But the police, like, what do they do that's heroic? Like, I know police love this stolen valor of trying to like lump themselves in with like people in the military or like firefighters and stuff. But this is absolutely hilarious that you've got to have a workout worshipping a cop. You guys know what I think of police, so this would be like a massive deal breaker to me. Like my instructor telling me, now we're going to do the Randy exercise in honor of this 27-year-old veteran of the LAPD. So clearly having like a whole gym franchise based on doing really, really weird exercises, encouraging people to get really sick from doing them, and also worshipping the police and worshipping the military, you can see why that draws in someone like Marjorie Greene. But this just isn't different franchises choosing to do this stuff. Like I'm sure some affiliate gyms don't actually do this because they might be in more liberal areas. And now we're going to look at the founder and old CEO of CrossFit. And then we're going to understand how it's probably like a no-brainer. Someone as crazy as Marjorie Greene, as conservative as she is, was really attracted to CrossFit. So back in 2020, the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation wrote, "Racism and discrimination are critical public health issues that demand an urgent response. Read our director's statement." So Greg Glassman, who is the former CEO and founder of CrossFit, wrote, "It's Floyd 19. Your failed model quarantined us, and now you're going to model a solution to racism. George Floyd's murder sparked riots. Quarantine alone is accompanied in every age and under all political regimes by an undercurrent of suspicion, distrust, and riots. Thanks." So basically, you guys will remember in places that had lockdowns for COVID, which didn't happen in loads of American states, a lot of people went to the gym, were quite upset. Like, you know, can't go to the gym anymore. It was really helpful for my fitness and mental health. But of course, the owners of gyms suffered financially. I have a bit less sympathy for people like this guy who are incredibly wealthy and are owners of a massive like franchise like CrossFit, and they're really upset about the lockdowns because they feel like nothing should shut down the gym. That's why he's being so butthurt. He got a massive backlash for that, of course, was made to apologize. But then this came out from BuzzFeed, which essentially sealed his fate. So the head of CrossFit has stepped down after telling staff on a Zoom call, "We're not mourning for George Floyd," hours before he posted a controversial tweet on Saturday night that sparked a backlash against his company. Greg Glassman, CrossFit CEO and founder, told gym owners on a private Zoom call, "We're not mourning for George Floyd. I don't think me or any of my staff are. Can you tell me why I should mourn for him? Other than that, it's the right thing to do. Other than that, give me another reason," he asked a Minneapolis gym owner who had questioned why the brand hadn't posted a statement about the protests around the country. On Tuesday night, shortly after the publication of his story, the company released a statement from Glassman saying that he had decided to retire and was stepping down as CEO. The 75-minute Zoom call, which was sent to BuzzFeed News via a secure tip line, was part of an initiative that CrossFit had started after the pandemic shuttered gyms across the country. During the Zoom call hours earlier, which had been between 16 affiliates and staff members, Glassman repeatedly expressed doubts about whether systemic racism existed and questioned the motives of protests around the country. During the call, Glassman also complained about looting and buildings that had been set on fire. He questioned the legitimacy of the protest movement that had gripped the nation in the 3 weeks since Floyd's death. Move to action, burning the city down. Is that the action? Destruction of black and minority-owned businesses. Is that the action? Glassman asked while speaking to a gym owner from Minneapolis who detailed what their members had been doing to help the community in the aftermath of nights of protests. Glassman said later in the call, adding that he wasn't going to fund Antifa because a guy got killed. He told the Minneapolis gym owner on the call that he thought the city's plans to defund the police were terrifying after they outlined how their community was trying to rebuild from Floyd's death. It sounds like more of the same. It sounds like punishing the cops. It sounds like blaming the police for all the problems in blighted communities. And I don't think anything could be further from the truth. Have you ever done a ride along with cops in a rough neighborhood? You don't have to answer, but I have many, many times. And that is crazy tough work. And almost all the men and women are professionals. Then he started ranting about the pandemic, saying the Chinese had deliberately caused it. Mike Young was one of the people on the call. He had had the franchise for more than a decade and had been excited to speak with the CrossFit CEO. I get to meet this guy who's probably been the biggest influence in this field, and then it turned into a really where the guy is just conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory. My first thought was, I thought maybe I was being punked, but I knew how he was, and I thought this is just crazy. I'm sitting there like my jaw is dropping. Is this happening? What is this guy saying? It's just surreal. It was beyond awkward. The way I would describe it, I was privy to information from a private conversation that the world should know about. This guy has a couple thousand of these CrossFit affiliates, and he's the figurehead, and he's speaking like a lunatic at a time when things like the pandemic, George Floyd, Black Lives Matter are basically already causing unrest, and the things he's saying are unsubstantiated conspiracy theories, inflammatory nonsense, really. At the end of the call, when a gym owner suggested that they were considering dropping their affiliation with CrossFit, another CrossFit headquarters staff member spoke to defend Glassman. You're not even approaching this with any compassion. You're approaching this strictly with your agenda. Do you know how many black people are going to be saved by CrossFit? Of course, after saying all that incendiary stuff on a call with loads of people who are affiliated with your brand, he's obviously retired and stuff, retired on a nice bed of cash, I assume. But this guy and Marjorie Taylor Greene seem like kindred spirits. Like nothing he said there is something that Marjorie Taylor Greene would disagree with. I'm sure over lunch, they'd have a good old conversation about all these insane conspiracy theories and about how things are made in like labs and how you're funding Antifa by giving to like Black Lives Matter or just giving to charities that tackle, I don't know, systemic inequalities. Like this guy is obviously really, really unhinged. And through that lens, you just like see how CrossFit is like this more conservative, culty like way of working out, or like gyms and groups and stuff like that. Because it all just comes down from this guy, right? So a lot of the exercises are based on like more like pseudoscience-y things, and the form is terrible, so people get really, really injured, and then they motivate each other to get really, really sick doing these workouts, and then they worship the LAPD and the US military in their foreign adventures overseas. And when the CEO is confronted with this horrible, horrible visualization of what police have done to black people throughout the entirety of American history, he doubles down saying it's like Antifa, it's like some criminal conspiracy, it's not real. He's done ride-alongs with the cops, so no wonder they worship cops in CrossFit gyms. But I just think this was all just like an interesting story because the vibe of CrossFit has always been conservative. So many people say it's like a conservative cult, but then there's a lot of people who are affiliates who aren't really conservative, who run outlets in different places and don't have conservatives among them. But it just seems at large like fitness culture and more like curated fitness communities do skew a right wing because they believe in medical misinformation, because they're often filled up with military vets or law enforcement. So it really creates this more like toxic conservative culture, not to mention that a lot of gym culture anyway is inherently really, really toxic in terms of masculinity. We talked about the Liver King just before Christmas and how he preyed upon people's inadequacies. And with this CrossFit mentality, a lot of them think they're doing the best exercise you can. They're better than everyone else who goes to the gym because they are pushing themselves harder. They're pushing themselves until they're really, really ill, going to hospital. They're pushing themselves until they're really sick, doing really, really bizarre workouts no one else is doing. So they feel really, really special, like they are better than everyone else. And I just thought it's like a really interesting case study. But I would really be interested in what people think about CrossFit generally. Like, do you know anybody into CrossFit? Have you been to a CrossFit gym? Have you participated in CrossFit? I would be really, really interested to know. I would just say generally for people looking to get into exercise, like, don't do CrossFit. And also, if you are feeling tension and you're tired from your exercise, also don't go see a chiropractor either. That is probably a video for a different time. But that is it for the video. Let me know what you guys think. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.